All right, everyone, we have to briefly talk about one of the most ironic situations that I've seen, which is that the ACLU was holding a free speech sort of forum there, a little ditty about the First Amendment at William and Mary. And BLM showed up, probably along with people who are not themselves like full members or anything, but they're on the far left. They showed up to shout down Gustin Yaga, the ACLU speaker, and they started talking about free speech is white supremacy. The ACLU even defends Hitler, because of course after Charlottesville, people who had just been there to protest, were not being violent, not necessarily armed either, who were on the alt-right. They were getting, all sorts of fucked over, and the ACLU said, well, no, we reiterate, they have a right to hold this kind of political rally. Once the violence began, that's not covered by the First Amendment, but their right to speak, to march around here. They had a permit, they were doing it lawfully, they have the right to do that. The ACLU defended them. And you saw, and the right wing needs to understand something too. You gotta learn political strategy. This has been the biggest weakness of upstart right-wing and left-wing movements for decades now, has been they believe in objective ideological rightness and purity to the point at which they forsake strategy and pragmatism. It's been their biggest weakness on both sides. They keep doing dumb things as a result. The right wing for decades attacked the ACLU. Oh, they're liberals, they're pinko commie individuals. They're defending this person who's protesting the military. While we're in war, they shouldn't do that. Just do what the government says. And now the left is doing the same thing. They come out and they do what they've been doing, which is that they look at a group that's being abused, that a lot of people are saying shouldn't have the right to actually organize at all. And they're saying, well, yeah, they have the right to organize, and we're going to help ensure that they have the right to do that because it is specifically a right that they have. It's inarguable. It's objective. It's simply there in the First Amendment. They have the right to get together. They have the right to protest. They have the right to speak freely because it's just speech. Until it rises at least to inciting violence, it remains under the auspices of the First Amendment. And the left didn't like that. You saw on Twitter when they put out that statement that a lot of people, they were like, oh, I donated money to the ACLU. Not anymore. Oh, the ACLU is evil now. They're defending Nazis. Which isn't what they're doing. They're defending the fucking First Amendment. But these people have become so ideologically partisan they don't fully understand that concept. They're ignorant of that fact. They don't understand that the First Amendment doesn't just protect the evil right. It protects your right to rally too. What do you think that you do on your college campuses when you get together and protest something? You go protest, oh, this new building's not green enough, we're going to protest. They want to put up a nuke plant, we're going to go protest it. They're trying to, redevelop this neighborhood using eminent domain, we're going to protest this. They're trying to illegalize marijuana, it's been decriminalized, we're going to protest it. You have that right, the First Amendment enshrines that. Now, the First Amendment doesn't give right, it simply is a statement that you naturally have those rights. You don't need anyone's permission to exercise them. Within their lawful boundaries. The laws being made, of course, within their own lawful boundaries. Not always the case, but it's good on paper anyway, I suppose. The First Amendment says specifically, yeah, you have the right to speak that way. You have the right to express yourself. You have the right to press, literally printing press at the time, literature, billets, whatever, posters about the topic to push your own message. Where does it say that you have the right to prevent others from speaking or expressing themselves? Doesn't say that. That violates the First Amendment. When you go up to this person, even when the right wants to do this, like an ACLU forum and, some right-wingers, oh, you're commies, you shouldn't be allowed to speak. No. They do have the right to speak. You don't have to agree with them, but you should be agreeing with the basic premise that people can speak. You want to speak too, obviously. If you're showing up to shout somebody down, that's what you're trying to do. You're simply being disruptive and violating their constitutional rights at the same time. Personally, I think there should be harsher penalties for people who disrupt this sort of rally. Hold a counter rally. Get a permit and hold a counter rally. Why don't you just show your numbers if you're so confident in yourselves that you are objectively right? Let them speak because they're going to say dumb things by your standards. Then you say things that you think are objectively a lot smarter. Well, it attracts people in, doesn't it? Well, problem solved. You don't have any issues. You remain much larger than your opponent because you think that you're objectively right. Any group that pretends we are objectively morally correct should never endorse censorship. of any kind, in any way, shape, or form. It would be counterproductive. You might affect yourself in a negative manner, even though you're already ahead of your opponent. So I don't know what you're arguing for, essentially. It is the ultimate irony that a free speech event held by a group that is generally regarded, both by the left and the right, by the way, as left-leaning, which isn't entirely true, situationally perhaps, but not always. I mean, typically, it defends a lot of younger individuals. They tend to be more left-leaning. If they're being abused, it's probably, if it has anything to do with politics, probably is a left-leaning issue for the ACLU. They're being shouted down by a group that pretends that it's being marginalized and suppressed by, government and official forces. But that's exactly what you're doing to the ACLU's own speaker. It's not going to win you any medals. It's not going to win you any friends among the ACLU. Do you think the ACLU ideologically sides with the alt-right? No, they ideologically side with the First Amendment. And that First Amendment protects their speaker's right to speak too. You've just shamed yourselves, including among some people that are probably like the center leftists. They'll be like, yeah, I'm going to side with the ACLU on this one. What are they talking about? Well, this tars the name of BLM by making it look like your members actually believe the First Amendment is a symbol of white supremacy. They're talking about the revolution will not recognize the Constitution. Oh, I'm sure that some of you believe that. Good luck. I'm sure that that's what you want because, some of you are literally communists. As in, literally express a desire to make the United States a communist nation. Or anarchism. Maybe there were some Antifa members among them. Maybe they were the ones shouting that particularly. Free speech is white supremacy. Well, what if it's being exercised by someone who's not white? What if it's being exercised by BLM when they hold some sort of rally? But BLM doesn't really hold rallies. It seems like more often they hijack other people's rallies. Well, you shouldn't be doing that. That's not the First Amendment. That's counter to it. Hold your own rallies. Maybe you'll get like 10,000 people there. It'll look energetic, and a lot of people are attracted to your message. Choose speakers that are like coherent and charismatic, as in not that, who's that one co-founder of BLM there that over and over again says like weird hyper-religious zealotry stuff? I can't remember her name, but I know that hasn't won you any allies, including in Washington, D.C., including among the Democrats. You gotta have some sort of sane strategy in mind, and attacking the ACLU is not it. Trust me. It's not gonna work. The ACLU's been around a lot longer than you, has a hell of a lot more support than BLM has, and will win the engagement if you choose to truly get into a dust-up with them. The ACLU will chew the BLM members up and spit them out, essentially, because you won't be able to launch any sort of reasonable argument based on their track record from that position that you're stressing. That's about all. Peace out.